25 Village of Port Edward Board meeting to order. And I'm gonna ask Diane to do the roll call.
Trustee Fluger,
Present.
trustee Head,
Present.
trustee Hummel,
Present.
trustee Radke,
Here.
trustee Saylor,
Here.
trustee Zerflu.
I'm done talking. I'm here.
Okay, we will stand and do the Pledge of Allegiance and with a moment of silence after. I
Pledge allegiance to the flag
Like.
of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Okay. Here, number 4, motion to approve the consent agenda, meeting minutes of January 8th, 2025 board meeting. And B, monthly bills and previous month's journal entries.
Please, chair, so move.
Moved by Zerflu,
Second.
second by Radke. Does anybody want to discuss anything? Pull it out. Hearing none. All in favor signify by saying aye.
All right.
Aye.
Okay. Public comment, I have no from everybody in the room. Anybody online want any public comment? Or have any public comment? No. Okay, president's report. So let's see here. Let's see. I'm gonna introduce Dean Van Savage. She is here. She came to me, or actually she talked to Mr. Thomas Guard, in December timeframe, and asked, how, and then he connected me with her. She wants to know how she can help with the DMI situation that we have. So we sat down, we had a conversation. She's been studiously looking at different things and looking at different options. So if Jean, could you introduce yourself and kind of say what you've been up to?
I'm Jean Van Savage. Some of you may know me or know the name of my brothers, the Wild Boys. My family moved to Port in '67 from Clover, primarily because of the school system. And I graduated from JEHS in '83. I went on to get my undergrad from Texas A&M in journalism, PhD in history, just in 2000. But I'm a public historian and not an academic historian. I see practical applications of that knowledge and the way of using it. I recently retired after a 30-year career in the Department of Defense, 10 years with the Prisoner of War Missing Personnel Office, and the rest of it was mostly with the Air Force Historical Studies Office. Like I said, I just moved back. My husband and I are in Rome because our house sold faster than we thought in Virginia, and we found a place. It took us a while, but we had to find a place to live, so we couldn't wait out where we'd like to move back to in Port. I've been aware of my mom just passed away in 2020, but I was coming home probably every 6 weeks to visit and to take care of things for her. And so I've kept up with the status of a lot of things in town, and it's been hard to watch. And ever since the mill went out, I've wanted to do something to help. And my skill set from a career in DC, I can write, I know how to do public relations, I knew how to deal with politicians and also lobby for causes with non-politicians, a whole host of people. And I'm not sure if you guys are aware, you all are aware of a huge pool of graduates from JEHS who are in positions of power and knowledge that could potentially help make some kind of, not force, but to cause DMI to perhaps move forward or have some ideas once the demolition is taken care of, to get new industry in or to move forward with the plans that you all have. I'm happy I'm retired, so most of you still have, some real stuff on your plate. I'm more than happy to do this completely gratis. I just want to help the community that gave me so much And there are a lot of the graduates who feel that same way. They want to give back to the community that gave them so much and gave them opportunities to have successful and happy careers and lives. So if you want my help, I'm more than happy to pitch in. I can, like I said, I can write, I can lobby, and involve the contacts, and there's, the soft pressure of public relations. You can always use press contacts. Marshall Beeler's daughter, Julie, is with the television station in Green Bay. There are a number of people who have written about problems with Wisconsin mills and redevelopment of sites in both the Washington Post and the New York Times business journals. I'm happy to reach out to those people and do a public relations campaign, soft power to get some movement. So anyway, I've got a bunch of ideas and I'm happy to share them. And if anyone thinks they're worth pursuing, I'd be happy to pitch in.
Thank you. So with that and with the information, we did have a brief conversation over the weekend and the things that she has found out and the stuff that she has researched, people she has talked with. I think it would be beneficial to have an ad hoc committee for this DMI exploration of options. That way she can work in a more somewhat official capacity with the board. And that way that knowledge kind of comes to the village and stays with the village. I would like to do a 5-person ad hoc committee. That would be with Rick, because he is the chair of the PLP committee. Myself, Jean, Rob Siegler said that he would be willing to be on board with this as well. I have reached out to Dana Duncan. I haven't seen anything from him yet, only because he was on that ad hoc committee of one previously. He's got a pretty extensive knowledge base and history with DMI. And then Ben Martinson, if he would like to be involved with those meetings as well. With all that, does anybody have any questions, comments, concerns with adding a ad hoc committee?
And they'll report directly to.
The PLP? Yep.
Then as usual, anything comes out of there will come before the board.
Correct. And I think with that ad hoc committee and especially with Rick being on it, that's why I would want him on there. He could bring that back to the PIT committee as like updates. This is kind of where we're going. If there are any updates, I mean, there's so much work, there might not be any, but again, trying to work in an official capacity with the village behind this ad hoc. And again, that knowledge and track can stay with the village.
Just you and Rick from this body will be on there.
Correct.
So you won't be violating any.
Correct.
Good.
Yep. But obviously ad hoc, you have to notice them and public can come to those as well. Does that sound acceptable? Okay.
So you're gonna do the chairman of the committee or just Rick? Because in 2 months, committees could possibly change.
Correct. So I have him on there right now because he is the
Yep.
chairman. Now, if that changes in April, whether whoever's in the seat or whether we change committees, again, depending on whoever's in that seat, they can make that decision at that time. And I'll just say what my idea would be to keep him on there because he has a history of it, but that can change as we know. So, but that's why I'm originally putting him on there. For now. Does that help? Or do
I
you
think
have an
just,
idea?
well, no, I mean, I think just, to clean it up, you just put the chairman of the committee, because he's the chairman of the committee.
Right.
And then if things change, I mean, it could be anybody of that committee, unless Rick chooses to stay on or whoever decides that, but.
And I think that's just up to the person come April.
Okay.
Sound good? Okay, then you guys will, we'll kind of get, I'll start an email chain so that everybody's in on the same email, so everybody has each other's contacts. We can figure out when everybody can meet and make that happen. Thank you, Jean, for coming in and giving us an intro.
I've been watching some of the meetings, some of it with the recording, so that's really cool that you do that. It
Perfect.
really helps people be able to get up to speed.
Thank you. All right, otherwise, that's all I have for president's reports. So we'll go right into commission committee reports. Airport Commission, trustee Zerlo.
We're meeting tomorrow. We haven't met for 2 months,
Ooh.
so we didn't really have a whole lot going on in early January. But, excuse me, tomorrow we meet and I did not receive an agenda yet. I'll be on my desk tomorrow. Evening. And then, after that, the ad hoc committee that the commission formed to be looking in at everything expansion, the hazard elimination with some of those tall trees in the area and stuff like that. They'll be meeting afterwards. A month from now, I'll have a lot of stuff for you.
Sounds good. Thank you. Police and Fire Commission, I do have a report from Chairman Stewart. The last meeting was January 27th. Upon a PSC request, Officer Abbott attended the new police chief and sheriff's training during the week of 1/27. This valuable training is in addition to the current mentoring provided by Chief Drew. After meeting in closed session, the PFC rejected one fire department applicant after review of the background investigation. Reviewed 2 new fire department first responder applications and moved both candidates forward to a background investigation and interview phase. After reviewing 4 lateral police officer position applications, the PFC accepted 2 candidates to move forward in the process and rejected 2 other applicants. After receiving a passing medical exam and successful completion of all the hiring phases, placed fire department fireman application Caden Singbush on a eligibility to hire list. This hire is not subject to associate status as training has been completed for full fireman status. Reviewed a part-time police officer position application, move forward to the next phase on a lower priority status. The next meeting, one item on the agenda will be to consolidate the interviews of lateral transfer police officer candidates in closed session, along with addressing other PFC business during the same meeting for efficiency purposes. The PFC is working with Administrator Martinson and the FHR IT Chair Radke regarding the appropriate timing of this position appointment. The next meeting is February 26th at 5 o'clock. If you have questions, contact Chairman Stewart. Plan Commission, no meeting. Next would be Public Works, Chairman Saylor.
Well, I was out sick. And since we stacked all the meetings, I missed all of them. So, Lon, you can.
Yes, Eric was sick. We had the meeting on January 22nd, 2005 here at Marshall Buehler Center. Some of the public works updates, there was a water main break. There was no property damage. It was taken care of by the village. Mr. Martinson sent out some letters. Their people are running water. I think they still are just due to the frost concerns. The salt is in good shape. We've been taking care of the roads, the bike trail. Also, there's 2 items that were budgeted and have been ordered, new zero-turn lawnmower and a new pickup truck for the village. Both of them budgeted items and came in under budget. And they're looking at some summer projects right now and cleaning brush. I think, is there anything else that you wanted to add, Mr. Martinson?
No, other than, yeah, the guys are doing a good job keeping the roads clean during, these little snowfalls we get. And obviously everybody is aware of the frost levels in the water. We're monitoring that daily or whatever. We do have plenty of people running. We haven't had any issues in the last couple of weeks, knock on wood. Now we have some cold weather coming this week. So hopefully we can get through that and then, see what happens, but be alert, if you do have any issues, the residents do, please reach out to myself or Diane or Kim at the village office and we'll do the best we can to help you out on these problems.
Oh, so we did tentatively set the next meeting for Wednesday, February 26th at 5 o'clock here, but I guess that I don't know how your schedule, we just did that because that's how they've been rolling. But Eric, if you want to set that at a different time or place, it's totally up to you. You're the chair of that committee.
What day was that?
The 26th. That's a Wednesday because like you said, I guess I don't know if all the committees been doing it on Wednesdays,
So 26th at what time?
5 o'clock,
February 26th?
February 26th.
At 5 o'clock, so PFC is the same day.
Oh, Public Works would
If you would
be,
be the same day,
yeah.
I can talk with Chairman Stewart. We can figure that out, or we can move all these meetings, because they're all,
I will let you know, cause just so you guys are aware of, I mean, it's nice having, you know, the meetings where it's bang, 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 bang. But if you are sick with all the crud that's going around, then you lose a whole entire day. I was only just able to circle one thing today, so just something to think about. But I will talk to you
Okay,
and whatever. Well, tentatively, we'll leave it at the 26th, but I'll send you an email.
okay, sounds good.
You wanna, move it up to 4:45? Because we're not gonna have much on the agenda for, we meet at 4 o'clock that afternoon. You wanna move it up a little bit?
We'll see.
Does anybody else have anything on the committee report? Okay, thank you.
we'll go into Parks and Recreation Committee. Chairman Hull?
Yeah, thank you very much. The Parks and Recreation and Cemetery Committee met on, January 15th. This was a follow-up to, an earlier discussion that we had about looking at possible things to add to the village in terms of opportunities for citizens to enjoy the village in a recreational kind of way. And, we tried to come up with some ideas that didn't cost money. And I give Eric Saylor credit to bringing up the fact that we don't have a festival in the village, and maybe that's something we ought to look at. So we did look at that. We had 9 organizations and business people show up on the 15th. We had a very active discussion about possible kinds of things that could occur. Most of them turned out to be more event-driven as opposed to festival-driven, and I think the distinction between an event and a festival is that a festival really is supposed to celebrate something about the community that is known for or wants to be known for, and is at the heart of it as opposed to a simple event. So we're going to continue to look at options and so forth. I think it's going to take some time to do that. Can't guarantee what the final result will be, but I was just really pleased with the amount of business and organization people who are interested and invested in the community to spend the time to come and participate in that. We sent a follow-up letter, Ben Martinson and I did, to them, telling them we appreciate it. We have a couple of questions in terms of if we can identify something that we want the village to be known for going forward, what month might be working, and additional ideas and so forth. So we, I thought it was a very productive meeting in that regard. The second thing I wanted to bring up was the veterans banners that, and I give Ben Martinson credit for looking into this. These are banners that could be put up and with brackets and so forth, and would be displayed for 3 years. We would need at least 10 of them in order to make that purchase. People would actually be purchasing them individually and so forth, not necessarily the village. But we're looking into that to continue to honor our veterans and so forth, and we'll give you an update on how that goes. We sent out or are sending out some information about that for people who might be interested in doing that. I would like to turn that over to Ben Martinson and a couple things you had, Ben, in terms of parks updates. So if you want to share that.
Thanks. Yeah, so the skating pond is up and running. Probably for hopefully a couple more weeks, once the weather starts warming up, we'll shut that down. We've had a fair amount of people using it, so things have been good there. So it's always good to have that skating pond going. It's been a ritual here in the village for a lot of years, and good to see some kids and families down using that. The Legacy Grant bike trail that runs from 5473 to Wabunker. The preliminary plans are almost finalized. We have waiting on a few more a few more of the residents to sign the permission slip to be on their property in an easement. And if we don't get those, the bike trail itself will be in the easement, the right of way, village right of way. So it's just nice to have permission if the contractors go over in their yard, or if they want some of the trees cut down to make better visual of the bike trail that we can. But if not, the bike trail is in the village right away, and we'll continue on that process. We're gonna be cutting the trees down. We're out there now cutting them down. We're hoping to finish that up in March, do some staking in April, and then we got some hydrants we gotta move, some catch basins, do that work in April. Maybe start bringing the gravel in. We gotta build a couple extensions on some storm sewer pipes and do some retainage walls, and then looking for hopefully early June to mid-June to get the pavement on that. Everything seems to be there. I mean, obviously this is legacy funded. I don't see anything, the hydrants will be a split between the water and the legacy department since we're moving the hydrants, but other than that, I don't see any issues. Financially, the village crew is gonna do as much as they can to save money, which was the original discussion from the start of this project. So I'll keep the parks updated on that, but I'm hoping that'll be open this spring until late summer. We also applied for another legacy grant for the Ripple Creek Park. That was due end of the month here, so we'll see if we can get some legacy money to help replace the equipment at Ripple Creek Park.
Good, thank you very much. Any questions? All right, our next meeting is, yes. Yes,
I got an email as I was coming in here. Somebody wants to know, is there ice fishing allowed on Ripple Creek? I've never seen it, but I figured I just.
People do ask me, we tell them not to go into where the skating rink is, they can go behind there where the snow is, but to me, we can't
Okay,
discourage that, but I just ask them politely not to go in
We
though.
always did that was back by the wood line
Yeah.
back there where they weren't shoveling.
Yeah, so,
got it.
Yes.
And that's kind of what my assumption was, but I wanted to ask.
thank you.
yeah, our next meeting is this coming Monday at 6 PM, right here.
17. Thank you for that. And Chairman Fairfield Public Safety.
As far as the fire department goes, submitted his January 25 monthly reports, pretty much SOPs. Committee activity, he updated the committee on their activities. Number one was they're holding their ice water rescue training. And he submitted for a grant from Quick Trip for SCBA fill station. All the rest you kind of highlighted out of all verbatim pretty much with the police and fire committee. We had a good discussion with Chief Appointed Abbott and with Chief Crew. They're both on the same page, and Scott gave it, the official retirement date for early April, and his vacation will take him pretty much through. And he will be available until that official retirement date to mentor, so to speak, the new chief and other things, because if all HELL hockey sticks breaks loose, he's still in charge. I would like to talk a little bit about Scott. I can remember when I had black hair and a lot more of it. You've heard me use that many times, and I and our young family at the time we were living on Edwards Avenue. I used to see this young little scrappy kid on a bike riding down past our house and going through the driveway and looking in the squad car. And then it was, of course, Scott at the time. And his dad was one of the training officers for me back in 1978, March, when I first got hired. And going out a little way through that, it was when he received the job as chief of police, and you were there, so you, in our interview with him that time, setting what his wages would be. It was kind of emotional for me because he's just like a second son. Now, lo and behold, having said all that, Chief Abbott is like the third son because of relationships up at Our Lady Queen of Heaven grade school at the time. He was a year ahead of Joe, and so it's kind of like this is kind of hanging in the family type thing without any common DNA, so to speak. I feel very, very comfortable. There's not gonna be much of a change in how they do business. They both think pretty much alike, and I think we will be well served. So, that's about all I had. Thanks for letting me embellish a little bit and, turn it back over to you, Madam President.
Any questions coming out of public safety?
What you're trying to say is, time I go and retire.
Then you have it, the 26th as well, but yours is at 4, correct?
4 o'clock. Right.
Okay. ELP committee, Chairman Hess.
We met on January 22nd at 5:30 PM. We went up through a variety of things. I'll hit them highlights and then Ben can add some commentary. We had updated on the DMI. There's really been no movement. Ben's been contacting them on a routine basis. They did have one visit by Scott from Jewel to survey the land, changing it from M1 to PUD. So that's a positive. Other than that, we have no movement really towards the timeline has expired from our August 13th motion to actually give the demo pit by the end of the year. So we're kind of in a waiting mode, trying to find out exactly what they want. We did discuss that we would like to try to keep open dialogue with them. So we're going to be continuing that dialogue and then bringing it back to the board. If there's any questions, I'll take those also. The 160 Market Avenue, Ben has been in contact with the property owner. They indicated they're trying to find a local contractor to do the work. We have not any news that they have found a contractor yet. Ben has given them several different local contractors. We've been issuing ordinances and they are amounting to over $13,000 unless Ben, you have an update on that amount?
Yeah, the newest total is 15,300, so.
Okay,
they're
thank you.
definitely- They're increasing.
So we are trying to, at some point in time, we are continuing discussions with our lawyer to see what legal action we can take to see if we put a lien on that property or et cetera. We really want to try to have them fix it so it can be a useful property for the village. Update on the CyberOne TIF loan. We did have Rob Sigler look at the financials and Ben has been in contact with them to try to get some financial compensation to catch up on their loan. They are, of course, they're trying not to give any money or limited amount of money. So we're pushing back. We do have the right to start issuing them citations. And then at some point in time, we've got to take this a little bit more seriously and try to get the money so we can get back caught up and or go after the total amount of the loan. So I think Ben can add a little bit of commentary. Do you have anything to add, Ben?
Yes, I did follow up with Nick on this. He's double checked the agreement. We were definitely in agreement, and the agreement has everything in place that the next pit meeting, if we don't see any money, that's a check that's cashed by Kim or Diane, that we'll have a motion on the pit committee to take the next legal step into this matter. And I've explained that to Jamie and he understands that. And I've also reached out to Earl, since he is still in the agreement, even though he's not a partner, he's still responsible on the agreement. So I did talk to both of them, sent both of them sheets over. They know where they're at. So they pretty much got, a week or so till we have the next pit meeting, but it will be on the agenda to move this forward to legal.
Yep.
We don't see any money.
Yep. The recommendation is we're going to get a little bit more aggressive with the conversations and try to get them to catch up on their loan at a minimum. If not, then we're going to seek what recourse do we have. The next three items actually have a motion involved with them. We had discussion and had a motion that was carrying it back to the board for the agreements, a facility use agreement. So I guess I would like to seek a motion that we bring that motion to the board and install it as a city ordinance.
Okay, are you making the motion? Just for clarification.
I'm asking if anybody wants to make the motion.
I'll make the motion.
Okay. Motion by Radke, is there a second?
I'll second it.
Second by
Thank you.
Hummel. Discussion.
I got a question.
Go ahead.
First off, you got a spelling error right after from in the second paragraph. It says ANU. assuming all. Um,
That should be any.
the question is, this facility use agreement, is this gonna be a blanket agreement for every facility, the parks, all of this?
Yep, so this agreement was, the draft copy was sent to Nick. Nick overlooked it, added some criteria to it. This will be for, if it's the high school, for using Ripple Creek, for the Lions Club, any organization that is using any of the facilities. We'll fill this out, in January of every year, the events they know. If they're gonna add an event, they will have to add to this, get a hold of me or pick up another sheet. And be able to use this. The Parks Rentals does their own agreement. That's a whole different deal. This is for organizations using our facilities.
Okay, and then they're gonna have to fill it out each time if they wanna have an event?
If they know the dates, they can put on the date for the whole year or whatever, and if they decide to add another date, if they get a hold of Kim or myself, we can add the date onto it. And then I'll bring the every month, if there's a change, once, every January, we'll fill these out, I'll bring them underneath the administrative report to say the Lions Club, the school, they've all have their facility, what events they're gonna do, and if they add an event, I'll bring it up in the administrative report every month if there's a change of activities.
And then lastly, of course, you don't want anybody renting the fire station. And is there verbiage in here saying? I mean, cause the village reserves the right to deny the use of 4, 1 and 2. But I would maybe have some verbiage in there just to say you're not renting them. I can't, not me, but I mean, you're not gonna have a family that wants to have a party in the fire station.
Correct, I mean, it's approved by myself, so if somebody comes and asks it, I can say you can't have that.
But it's just not written here.
Yeah, we can add that if you'd like. So
I
you,
think it's just a one-stop shop. If all your questions are answered here. Not saying anybody's gonna do that, but who knows?
Yeah.
Down the road.
I guess if you wanna add that to the motion, we can add that in there.
Yeah, I
Madam
think
President, when, Rick, when you read this thing, something, you used the word ordinance, and the word ordinance is not in this motion to approve those facilities use agreement.
it will be added to the ordinance, which is, I think I jumped ahead.
Yeah, you can't be doing that. It right here says facilities use agreement.
Correct.
And also, I'm gonna be making a motion shortly to table this and send it back to committee for the things that you pointed out. That should all been taken care of, approved. We can't say, well, we'll add it because we're approving it now. And those changes have got to be in there before we approve it.
Yeah.
So I'm going to make, no offense, Rick, but I'm going to make a motion at this point to table this, send it back to committee for the necessary changes.
That's
And I'll
fine.
second
I have
that.
no problem with that.
Okay, from Zerflu and Hummel for the tabling it until it is added. Any other discussion on that? Okay,
No, I
Oh.
thank you for that. We've got to get it correct.
okay, all in favor? Signify by
Aye.
saying aye.
I,
That is tabled.
And we will bring it back to commit to the board next week. And I spoke, Joe, you are correct. Trustee Zerflu, that I spoke about the ordinances, and that was actually the next motion, which I'm going to skip over. Because we're looking at adding it to 2 places in the ordinances, so this can be used. The comment?
So we're
No.
not doing number 3, the motion to add the facilities agreement, correct?
Right,
We're
it's
not
the same
doing-
documents,
Yes.
okay.
Got it.
Not doing this number 2 or number 3.
Okay.
The
Okay.
4th would be the, we had discussion of possible, we brought a motion to the committee and we passed it to bring it to the board on a retirement plaque or gift card for full-time employees. That change is basically taking it from 10 years to 5 years. So I'm looking for a motion at the board level to make that change from 10 years qualifying for a plaque or gift card to now only requiring 5 years of employment.
Okay, is there a motion for that?
I'll make a motion.
Motion by Radke, second.
I'll second it.
Second by Hess, discussion.
I'm just questioning the reasoning behind it. When I first looked it up, the policy was like 1985 or 1988 or whatever it was. We've had long tenured people. Is this just give Scott a plaque or is this?
It was recommended to bring up to the pig committee.
For
We don't have.
recognition, for recognition of people that may not hit 10 years, but still are working for the village and have contributed.
So this is retirement only, correct? This is not recognition, this
Well-
is retirement.
Doesn't say that. Just says service.
Okay.
We've had long tenured employees. I mean, people come and they get hired and they don't leave unless they push you out. Don't.
Exactly.
I don't, I mean, it doesn't matter to me, 5 or 10 years. Just. I go either way.
Yeah, I guess I brought it up for discussion, but I guess, you know, do we need to have something to say when we're gonna give somebody a plaque or not?
Exactly.
Is that what your comment was gonna be, something
Pretty much.
similar? Okay,
Right, sure.
okay, sorry.
You must have the same dream. Yeah, it's, I mean, the board. You could have a lady or a man employee, and God forbid something happened in 3 years, but they, you know, let's just say they were a school officer and they really did a good job and. Oh, it's 5 years or oh, it's 10 years, you know, I mean, the number of years shouldn't even.
How,
Bob's got a plaque, didn't he?
yeah,
Yeah, he did.
yeah, he did.
It was only 2 years.
Yeah.
I mean,
Well, yeah, I mean, I'm gonna vote for it, but I just,
Does the county, I have a question, does the county have
15,
certain
I'll turn it
criteria?
over to Pro.
I'm looking at both of you, that's why.
So there's separate, that's why I asked clarification whether it was recognition or retirement, because they have different criteria for both. Recognition is 15 years minimum. We're in discussions right now about possibly dropping that back down. So recognition, every time you move the target, you have to do makeup gifts. So when we moved it from 20 to 15, we had to go find everyone that had between 15 and 20 years of service, and then they had to get gifts as well. So I think there's a differentiation, and I want clarification as far as whether or not this is recognition or retirement. You know, if someone is here for 5 years and leaves and, you know, walks off into sunnier pastures, then that should be a different conversation than those long-term employees that you have that have been here 5, 10, 15, 20 years and have only gotten a couple of gift cards. I think, you know, you're talking apples to oranges here. So I'm in favor of any recognition, obviously within reason financially, but just from working in HR, there's a lot of appreciation. And people really like to be recognized, especially when you hit those major milestones, whether it be 5, 10, 15, 20 years. So I think the employees would be appreciative of it if it can be done within reason and, you know, consistently. And I think that's a very valid point is we have something that says we're gonna wait 5 or we're gonna wait 10 or exemplary service, like trustee Zerflu brought up. You know, in special circumstances, we could do that with board approval or with administrator approval. So I think we're talking two different things here. I have no problem with the retirement being, it doesn't matter. You know, if you have someone that comes in, works 6 months, does an absolute bang up job and leaves for reasons that may be outside their control, why are we limited as far as whether or not we should be able to get them something to show our appreciation? So if we're discussing retirement, I have no problem with no time frame requirement on it. If we're talking recognition, I think it's a different conversation. And that's how the county operates.
Well, right now, the policy we have to present a plaque to any employee upon retirement who has been employed by the village of Port Edwards for 10 or more years.
Correct. And that's why I thought it was retirement, because I remember the email that you sent yesterday said retirement right on there.
That was a discussion that was in pit.
Yes.
So I'd like to add
But the
in,
motion isn't retirement.
The motion is.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Eric. Hummel.
I'd like to add just in terms of, this is gonna complicate things. But in the business world, people are getting away from giving gifts, giving food, or having food and so forth, because that really doesn't engage people or really show the appreciation. And frankly, I'd rather see us bring a person in who's retiring into a meeting, tell them, give them some background and what they've done for the community and so forth. Thank them and give them a certificate and it's a lower cost, but it's much more personal than a plaque or a gift card. That's just me. But I'm telling you, in terms of long lasting impact, people are gonna remember what they were told more than a plaque sitting on a wall that is just gonna sit there. But that's me.
Go ahead, Nick.
And from a county perspective, we do offer both. And you would be surprised the amount of people, and Joe can attest to this, that decline. And essentially their name gets read because they're like, I don't want the recognition, just give me the plaque, say my name, do your silent round of applause. So it's nice to have the option of doing both. And I definitely see the validity of both of them there, but there are a surprising amount of people from a county perspective that will say, I don't want to be at that board meeting.
Because we talked to them.
I'm not saying it.
Well, candidly, it's their manager who's the one that really has the most impact on them, right? So.
Correct. And we give their supervisor or their department head the opportunity, or, you know, if it's a department head, we give the committee chair the opportunity to come in there and speak their piece and say how long they've been there, what they've contributed and things of that nature. So it's still the opportunity there, but there's, like I said, there's a surprising amount of people that are like, I'm embarrassed, I don't want to do this. So having flexibility is always a benefit.
Okay.
I will add a couple things. On the committee meeting notes, we did talk about a retirement plaque, and it was really trying to standardize it. So we all are under the assumption, so it's consistent. So I think we were looking for consistency here. Now on the board meeting motion, it does not say retirement. So that, I guess, is a miss. So we talked about it on the committee level as a retirement plaque. And it was either a plaque or a gift card of equivalent value, and they could make that choice. So we were just trying to standardize it.
I will make a motion that we table it till next month for some clarification.
I'll second it.
Okay.
So this will be sent back to PLP, correct?
Yeah, we can work on it and we can think of different things too and bring them to the table. So motion by Luger, second by Radke. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Okay.
That next meeting is February 26th, 6 PM. That was the rest of it.
Okay. FHR.
FHR met February 6th at 4:30. Everybody must have, Diane sent out the report, the monthly bills, the journals. Hopefully everybody has a chance to read them. Everything looks like it's doing fine that way. Mr. Martinson gave us an update on the full-time police officer position. I think some of that was read by the Police and Fire Commission that President Mansell read earlier. They have some lateral, I guess, 4 applications, and I guess I will reach out to the chairman of the PFC. I would like to see actually why all 4 aren't getting interviewed, so we could establish an eligibility list. So if something happens in our department, we could just go down that list, and if we had 4 candidates that applied, unless there was something seriously wrong, I don't know who the candidates are. I would like to have that ability to do that. Trustee Zerflo.
Thank you, Madam Chair. A lot of departments have this. A lot of PFCs do this. In this way, like Lon said, some of them are 18 months they keep to approve for, or whatever number. And then if somebody doesn't cut the mustard or somebody leaves during that time to go to another department, you don't have to go through the whole thing again. You just go.
Sure.
I agree with Lon.
Okay.
It was in the PFC minutes that candidates 3 and 4 were rejected due to a lack of qualifications, but they didn't expound on exactly what that was, so But that was the reason given that
Okay,
they.
and I
they
will,
only-
I will reach out to the chairman of that, Mr. Stewart, just if their lateral I don't know if it was so many years that they wanted or whatnot, but I'll try to get clarification on that for myself, bring it back to the board. Other old business that was brought up at the FHR was the update on the new server status. Wood County IT is working on that. Anticipating that things will be ready in about 3 weeks. They'll be replacing some old equipment, replacing some computers in the office area. Amy Cobb. Okay, hopefully I pronounced that right.
You got it right.
She was here by virtual and had some answered some of our questions. Another thing that was brought up about the iPads. Right now, each trustee has an iPad. I usually get my email on mine. I don't usually bring it into the meetings, but we had some trustees that didn't want to use the iPads. And maybe we can use them, other departments we're looking at, maybe using them like the water department or fire department. So, instead of having them just sit in the office, either I guess we're gonna talk about that more, after the server's up and running. So we'll present that and Mr. Martinson will have a financial budget comparison, at the next meeting. Our next meeting will be at 4:30, March 6th. And unless Mr. Martinson, do you have anything you want to add about the server or?
Nope, they dropped it off the other day, so they're starting to get things hooked up.
Okay,
Just a question of curiosity, what are the new features of the server? That we're gonna be able to,
Windows 365, we don't have. So we're pretty far behind on, behind on dates, so,
Okay.
it's just the start of it.
So the old server was like server 2013, 2014, whatever it was. So this is a 2019 or 2021 version. So I mean, licensing support, all that other stuff, you gotta stay up on it every 5
Yeah,
years.
exactly. Cybersecurity wise, that's still not
I know.
very, right? Okay, thank you.
okay, any other questions? Okay, thank you, Madam President.
Thank you. We are moving on to number 8, any unfinished business from previous meetings. Anybody have anything? Nope. New business? Okay, report from village administrator.
Nothing, no report here tonight, nothing new.
Report from clerk treasurer.
Nothing.
Nope. Okay, trustee comments.
I just have a question.
Oh, yeah.
And maybe Diane can clarify a little bit. Open records requests. You're the custodian of the records, right? Or how does that work? What's the process?
It's the record that the general government has. If it's something they're looking for from the police or from the fire, they go directly to you guys, to that department for the record.
And then they're able to give whatever information is found or whatever and create whatever. We don't have a one person that oversees all that. My concern is not that Dustin would do it or not that Brandon would do it, but they could be the voice of whatever they want if we don't have one person approving or giving those records out.
Statutes are really clear what obligations the clerk has. And it's been so long since I read that part that I can't remember the whole thing of it, but my being chief, when I had open records request, I just automatically, by unwritten policy, got the attorney involved. Got his expertise, about what I should do and shouldn't do, and then did it.
So your question is, where are they coming from? Like, should they all be routed through Diane? Or
I
through
think
Ben?
they should. That's my opinion. One voice comes into one spot. That the records could be vetted by whatever departments and then it comes from one spot. Versus having 3 or 4 spots. And then now, let's say Brandon, we have a jaded police, whatever. Information could be getting out there without being vetted from any of the general government. So that's just my.
like trustee Zerflu said, there is a process established, and pardon me for not having it memorized, but the process is very distinct. It comes in, if it's an approved record, there are certain things that can be redacted, there are certain things that cannot be released. But if by law you have it and it is able to be released, it has to be released within a certain period of time. As far as the process, I believe. Mind if I look into this and bring something back?
Well, as the tech director of the school district, I'm the one that has to create, to give those records. You know, we find the emails, we find all that, and we give it, and it comes through the superintendent. We can't have individual principals. If the record or if the request comes into the high school, let's say, the high school principal doesn't have the power just to give the record. It's gotta go. Now, by saying that and having 3 department heads possibly, have access to that dissemination of information, how do we know that they're all on the same page on what needs to be redacted, what can go out, this, that, whatever?
Did that go through you, Ben?
No.
The records request?
He asked me, I mean, he brought it to my attention after the fact, I mean, during the fact that he was getting open records request, but.
Mhm.
Is
Obviously
that
doesn't
something
come,
that the league would know?
Like a simple request, like just copy of minutes. I mean, obviously we can do that. If it's something more complicated, then we should check with the attorney before you let it out.
Correct. And what we do from a county perspective is those go through corporation counsel. If we have any questions, if there's conflict of interest with corporation counsel, then it goes to external counsel. So we're fortunate in that we have a lawyer on staff. So if there's, I mean, if it's cut and dry, they want a training record, they want a copy of their personnel file. We deal with enough of those records requests that we know X, Y, and Z can be released and the A, B, and C cannot. If there's ever a question on what and how, then it goes to council. So in certain circumstances like that, I think it's,
In this instance with the open record request, the fire department, did it go to council?
I believe not.
I would just say the more people that they're in a position of making judgments about it, the opportunity for variation, it's exponential. And, from a process standpoint, a one place it goes will eradicate some of that variation. And it's, to me, that's much more consistent and efficient, but, maybe we ought to just take a look at what's written down and see what makes sense.
so typically what happens is they ask, what do you have on this? And they say, we have this, or we don't have this, and then it goes to council to figure out what needs to be released, what needs to be redacted. In a circumstance where there was nothing found, I don't know if that's something that needed to go to council. Because typically you don't worry about redacting records that don't exist, so I don't know if necessarily that's how it is in this circumstance, but usually council gets involved when it's like, well, I have this, what part of this do I need to redact? I have a PIP that I have on file for somebody, and I need to black out this entire paragraph here. In a circumstance like that, I'm not 100% sure, and that's why I asked, like, would it be possible to bring something back or get a clarification from Attorney Ops?
Yeah, we can get it,
That's-
send Nick an email and bring it back through
Correct.
pit committee, I guess, or where to
I mean,
go.
that's what he's on retainer for.
It just sounds like it would be good to clear up and have a process stated, so we all say.
That's all.
Anybody else?
Dealing with the police department, Lamont can verify too, because he did it when I was out of town or on vacation. You're dealing with a whole new ballgame when it comes to police department records. You know, and for the obvious reason, that's why everything, I don't care how simple, there's a few of them I could have done and gave it to people, but I didn't. I contacted our attorney from the get-go. And he says, yep, that's a good idea, go ahead and do it, no problem. Or, you know, I could see Eric's, to having the central figure. But it, like that case in point, if we had something that everything's gotta go through the village clerk. Well, some of that stuff with the police department, she can't do anything with it, you know.
And that's gonna be internal communicated, you know.
But I understand at least everything was channeled up to the same place.
Ultimately, us here are, how information gets out to we represent Fort Edward area. So if we don't want to limit information that may or may not, whatever, you know, just for consistency and efficiency, like you said.
Yeah.
maybe one person, and I'm not trying to add duties to Diane.
I'm
Or-
relatively certain that, I know Wisconsin Counties Association, I'm sure the League of Municipalities will have guidance as far as
I'll reach
best
out to the
practices.
league.
Yeah, let's get that guidance.
Yeah, I'll reach out to Lee, see what other or what they suggest.
You
Okay,
know, we throw committee of the whole and ad hoc committees and all that around. It would be nice. I don't even, is Nick App still our attorney? That's the last time I see him. He owes me lunch, by the way. You know, is
You know what
to
his
have,
office is.
yeah, is to have him down here and put on a little tutorial training for us. Just strictly with open records, so Ben knows, we know, the clerk, every, you know, that group of folks. Just to have it spelled out.
sounds good. I will talk to him about it. Okay, any other trustee comments? No, the only thing, I forgot to say this during president's report when I was talking about that ad hoc committee, I did also reach out to Representative Scott Krug on the DMI issue, just to see what kind of avenues he may or may not be able to point us in. So he asked for some information, just the background timeline type of thing, and I did send that out. I have not heard back from his office yet, but just another thing that we can have in our arsenal, if you will.
Keep in touch with Senator Tustin.
Yep, I think those offices we're talking to. So,
The chamber is hosting their spring legislative breakfast, I want to say, and I apologize for not having the exact date. It's coming up in the next month or two. If you look at the chamber's website, they'll have it on there, and I believe
To mid-state again?
it's at Mid-State again.
Mhm.
I believe, Teston, Krug were confirmed. Van Orden, Baldwin, and one other were tentative at this point, so, would probably be good to have someone from the village, you know, attending that one. It's in the middle of the day. It's the only unfortunate thing about it, but,
it's usually, okay.
It
um,
used to be fun when they're at Bullseye.
after hours.
At 7 in the morning.
All right, any other trustee comments? No? All right, committee meeting calendar. See if I wrote these all down right. Public Works tentatively 2/26 at 5. Public Safety 2/26 at 4. PLP 2/26 at 6. FHR 3/6 at 4:30. Parks 2/17 at what time was that one?
6.
6. Okay, and I will reach out to Chairman Stewart, about his date as well, and just saying that there's a conflict with other ones, so unless, Mr. Saylor, you find out that you're gonna change yours
We're gonna keep ours on the 26th.
on the 26th. Okay, then I will talk to Chairman Stewart. How about that? Okay. Without objection, I will adjourn the meeting at 7:58.